We go.
Hey, we're live. Everybody, welcome to um man, I would say this is an edition of Propels Talk. I guess it is, but at the top it says Pelican Spaces with Chris Connor. Um Most of you guys don't know, but I actually talked with Justin and Lala the other day about I'll probably be I'm about 90% um then figured out how I want to have something else show wise, or content and production wise outside of spaces. And this might be like part of the beginning of such. But saying that, it's actually only one other person I could think of that will be better off for me to start this with and do something as fun as new as it is for me. It's my first time running something like this, and this is my dog, my OG, my support system, and much more. David Grubb, man.
Man, it's a pleasure to be with you. Anytime we get to talk, whether it's online or offline, um, we always vibe. And, this is an exciting time for what we do and just for basketball in general. And I mean, we think about it, like July 7th, man, Summer League, July 7th.
Damn.
So we talking about what, 2 weeks from watching people play basketball again. So I'm excited, and it's like I said, I get to talk to you about it, so that makes it better.
If you guys don't know, and I'm sure you do already, David Grubb, he hosts, runs, organizes, and puts together one of my favorite podcasts, an award-winning podcast at that, Hard in the Paint with David Grubb. You guys can stream it everywhere. Apple. Is it on? I mean, anywhere you can find a podcast, you're gonna find it. But go to Apple. It's the easiest. I'm like, just do it. Just do it.
Wherever you go, but it's everywhere. Wherever, everywhere. So, and we're updating the website right now, so that'll be back soon. So there'll be stuff there. We're gonna start doing the full rebrand and some new merch and stuff. We'll be back out. So it's gonna be a new year. We're gonna do a new vibe for Hard in the Paint, man.
All right, guys. So, I mean, what we're gonna do here the goal is to end this in a timely manner to where we can get to the post game podcast that Justin and company I'll be a part of and what they're gonna put out depending on how long this runs. And then of course we're gonna do a spaces afterwards. But it's gonna be a live show, man. We're gonna react, talk about whether it be the Pelicans, and as the draft goes on up leading until after the Pelicans pick at 8, if they stay at 8. So that's pretty much what this is. I thought it was a good time to do it. Like Grubb said, man, this is a really good time. This is an exciting time in basketball, right? But specifically in New Orleans basketball, this is just it's an opportunity after making the playoffs, having the 8th overall seed. Shout out to the Lakers that you really don't you don't see. And there's been I know we've been talking. I mean, you see it on Twitter about the different from all different sides and spectrums on what they should do with the pick. Should they trade? Should they draft high upside? Should they draft the player that's ready now? Should they trade back and get them a player? Grubb, man, I want to start with you before I ask you, because I'm gonna ask you a bunch of random questions, and they're not gonna have anything.
Hey, man.
Like I know you're ready for them. I'm just letting you know. But you are in. Let's say you're in the shoes right now. Your perfect landscape. I know I don't think it's a secret in regards to the prospects that you've liked the most.
Mm-hmm.
But in a perfect world, in David Grubb's perfect world, what would you do today in regards to the first round selection for the New Orleans Pelicans?
Like if what would my outcome be?
Yeah. You calling
ultimately, I'd like to come away with either Dyson Daniels at 8, if that's where they stay. I want Dyson Daniels at 8. If he's available at that spot, that's the guy to me. There are acceptable players. But I think Daniels is at the top of the list, and I don't think it's a secret that the Pelicans are really high on Daniels as well. If not, I need the Pelicans to unload some players and come back, because you can either come back to 10, or I'm thinking even go back to 12 and 15 with Charlotte, get those 2 picks, and you can offload Jackson Hayes, offload Devontae Graham. because there's two things you've got to do. Number one, financially, you are now looking at the fact that Herb Jones is going to be real expensive real soon. You got him. You got a good deal on him. You got a good deal on him. You locked him up. You saw how he was as soon as he became a starter. They locked him up on a real NBA contract, guaranteed. But you're about to extend Zion Williamson at max. Brandon Ingram is at max. You got 30 more million plus on CJ McCollum for 2 more years. You cannot bring in a bunch of expensive talent and pay Jackson Hayes what he's going to ask for as a restricted free agent. Because Jackson is going to ask for the max from the Pels. And if they don't give him that, then you find yourself in a holding pattern while you bid next year. So to me, where does Jackson play is the biggest question too, because if Zion's at the 4, if you're playing Herb at the 4, Trey is 6'10" at least now. You're looking at this man in these pictures, and he is continuing to grow. So I don't know, when you put on these shoes, he's at least 6'10", and you can see he's filling out. So Trey is going to be able to be stretched or even an interior 4 because we've seen him rebound. So where does Jackson Hayes play? We know he can't play center. Everybody, even his fans, even his biggest fans will tell you his best position is not center. So if the only place there are minutes for him on this roster is at backup center, he had fewer double-doubles than Willie Hernan-Gomez last year.
That's a hell of a point.
He had fewer blocks than Herb Jones. So you need to unload Jackson Hayes instead of being caught in a bidding war for him. And Devontae Graham is another person you're looking at, and you're saying, where do you play him now? Because you learned in the playoffs that you could live without him, and you have Kyra Lewis coming back. So either you're going to have to choose between one of the two, because there are only so many minutes to go around at lead guard, and CJ is going to get 30 of those. So you have Jose who's going to get 20 minutes every night. So, and you want to work Kyra back into the rotation, a kid that you've invested a first-round pick in. Devontae, for a guy who 3 straight years, his shooting percentage has decreased both from 2 and 3. He's not giving you the value that you asked for when you traded for him. So to me, if you can't get the player that you want at 8, get back and get rid of some of these players you don't want. Create some more cap space for a team that may need to make a bigger move during the season if you're in a great position to make a run in the playoffs, that you may want to absorb a really talented player, not have money committed to Devontae Graham and Jackson Hayes. I want to have people out flexible because the rest of your guys are super cheap. I can't include all those cheap guys. You know what I'm saying? I can't throw in Najee Marshall's contract. He's worth $1 million. There's nothing there. You know what I'm saying? I can't throw Willie Hernan-Gomez at $1.5 million. So the guys that I have to get rid of are the guys who are costing me the most money, and I need to get back. And then if I'm at 12, then I want Mark Williams out of Duke at 7'2", who will give you maybe the kind of impact that Robert Williams gave the Celtics, who's got bounce, who had a higher rebound percentage in college than Zion Williamson, than a higher rebound percentage than Paolo Banchero, higher than Chet Holmgren, all these guys, higher than twice as high as Jackson Hayes was in college. So you give me a Williams, a guy who blocked almost 3 shots a game last year in the college game. Come on. I want that guy then as a guy that I can groom to play, center. You say, oh, well, he can't play 48 minutes. We're not asking any center to play 40 minutes anymore. We're not asking. We know defensively you couldn't. There was times against the Suns where there was no chance for Jonas against DeAndre Ayton. None. Defensively, when the Suns were just eating him up on back picks, but he had to score on the low post offensively. That was the way he counteracted it. When he was able to score, it mitigated with Ayton because he couldn't do it defensively. Well, I can get Mark Williams to do that, and I think he'll do it at a high level. And I think he can expand his game, but I don't need, again, how many threes last year per game did Nikola Jokic make? 1.1 3-pointers made per game for Nikola Jokic. So I don't need my center to be out there shooting all the time. But if you can step out and you're confident in that corner, take it. But otherwise, be my beast. Grab me boards, get it to Brandon, get it to CJ, get it to Herb and open floor. Let those guys do what they do, because the best the Pelicans play is when they're in transition. And the only way you get to be in transition is by owning the glass. And there's one thing that Jackson Hayes and Devontae Graham, neither one of them can help you do: own the glass.
So guys, for those who are just pulling up, I appreciate y'all. This is going to be a live stream. Um, this is my first time controlling this like this, man. So there will probably be some mistakes. I see people that are down here. The goal is to get people up here at I think once the draft starts, and we chop it up about whether you have questions for people that's up here, or you just want to give your thoughts as the draft continues. But Grub, one of the other things I wanted to ask you, man. I think with all fan bases, there's a divide set around this time in regards to direction, how you get there. That involves some unrealistic expectations right away. That includes impatience. That includes some that are too short-sighted and some that are looking maybe too far. Some that are looking to be a little bit too patient. What's the balance? Because this 8th pick, depending on where you lie in the thinking of how this team continues to build, has a lot to do with this pick. Some believe you take a home run swing, right? You draft Dang, or you go. I've seen Duran's name being mentioned a lot. Maybe guys that are raw in one aspect or another as prospects on one side of the floor. There are some I've seen. There's been guys that say no, draft AJ Griffin right away. There are others that are no, Dyson Daniels is the guy, right? We've been kind of talking about that for a while. You were one of the first.
I said it lottery night. As soon as there were 8, I said if he's at 8, that's who the Pelicans should take. I said draft. So that's how I live with it. Win or lose. I own that statement.
But what's the balance, right? Because with that, every quote unquote star, all-star caliber player that is being thrown out, there's somebody saying, right, based off of how the Pelicans finished last year, based off the excitement and the anticipation coming into this year, no, it's time to go for it right now, right? Other teams are getting quote unquote better. They're adding. Yes, you're welcoming back Zion Williamson. Yes, CJ played a little bit over 30 games, and you hope that you're going to be healthy. And you have a young team that should take leaps, but they're saying no. If you got a chance to go out and get DeJounte Murray, you go get him. They don't care about the fit. You add the talent and you work it out from there. I've seen that with John Collins, right? I've seen it from there. And then there's the other side that say, nah, there's no need to make a move like that. Go with the starters that you have now. Make minimal additions. Chip away with certain aspects, certain elements in your team. Backup shooting guard along those lines. Maybe find a destination for Devontae Graham or Jackson Hayes and see what you got, and then maybe move at the trade deadline. But how do you find the balance here? It's people that are ready that think this team should be contending for a championship, and it's those that are saying, nah, this is a road, this is a process. You can't do it all right away.
There are elements, and I think that's what you look for as your team goes. And that's why I like Daniels in that spot. Because, I think, and I see this quote that just came in and people talk about, I get it, the shooting, and Ben Mathurin is probably the second choice, in my mind. Ben Mathurin is probably the second choice. But I don't think shooting is as big a need as people have the impression that it is. Because let's look at the champions. Okay, you cannot. First of all, let's not talk about Golden State, because Golden State didn't particularly shoot it well. They have Steph Curry. You know what I'm saying? They got Steph Curry. Klay Thompson didn't shoot it well. You know what I'm saying? The year before, Milwaukee, did they shoot the three particularly well as a team? Did they? They have people who are capable three-point shooters, but in the finals, I don't believe either Phoenix nor Milwaukee shot over 30% from three as teams. Okay, so what is important is your percentage, how you're converting, rather than how many you're making on a night-to-night basis. Because there are just as many teams in the bottom 5 of the league in attempts that were in the top 4 in the league as there were teams in top 5 in three-point attempts and makes that were who made it to the conference finals. So, I think when you look at a player that you're going to add, you say, well, the main thing you're looking for is intelligence. Basketball IQ is number one. That's the profile. That's the players you succeeded with are players that have high basketball IQs. CJ McCollum, high basketball IQ, right? Brandon Ingram, high basketball IQ. Zion Williamson, tremendous natural instincts with a ball hand, as a ball handler and around the rim that you can't teach. That's an IQ thing. The abilities that Herb Jones, that's IQ. Jose Alvarado, clearly, that's not just, when you're 5'10", and you didn't get there because of your physical skills. You got there because of your ability to understand the game of basketball. Trey Murphy is a student of the game of basketball. Jonas Valanciunas is a student of the game of basketball. So your team IQ has to be high. So that's what I'm looking for. Number one, is this player going to come in and be able to understand what we're doing? Number two is you got to understand that there's not a lot of minutes carved out for you in this situation. Guys who come in with the expectation, and that's what part of the evaluation to me is, guys who come in with the expectation that I'll get in the rotation. Okay, I want that. I want that mentality that you believe you will. But what if you don't? Are you able to deal with that? And that's another thing that I can't say until you speak with that player face to face. But my gut is, when I look at a guy, to me in Daniels, what I see is someone who's played professionally, and you could say G League is what it is. I would say G League level is higher than what the NCAA is putting out at the top of it. I've been to enough college basketball games to know that the NCAA Division I, or whatever you want to call it now, ain't that great. So he's played that. He's played in international leagues. He's 6'7" and growing. He's shown that he will take it to the basket. People try to compare him to Lonzo and say, well, he doesn't want fit. No, he finishes at the rim, and he finishes above the rim. He is a rebounder at his size. He is committed to playing defense. These are all the same things that fit into the profile of the guys you've had success with. You don't need, with a coach in his second year, I think it's not being risk averse, because I think a lot of people like Daniels. This is dude people talk about potentially going in the top 5. He may not be available at 8. But I think overall, when you're building your roster, you want IQ first. You want that mix of veterans and young. If the talent is too great and it meets your other requirements, yeah, you always take the best player available. I don't think you draft for need. But if I'm going back in the draft, like I said, for Williams, those guys are already gone. If my best guy is gone at 8, and I'm not taking somebody that I don't love at 8 and paying them 8 money when I can get more value back at 12 maybe, or at 12 and 15.
So we have a special guest. I didn't even pop up, man. I mean, to be honest, man, you just appeared in here. What's up, Chaz?
What's up, brothers? How y'all doing, man? Good to see y'all, man.
What's happening?
I'm hanging in there, bro. Excited about the night. Personally, I feel like I'm going to be disappointed tonight. I don't.
Are you shocked that he said that?
Why? No. If you know Chaz, you are not surprised with that. Chaz,
I said that because. Oh, my bad. Go ahead, Chris.
No, well, when I wanted to ask you, because we talked. I've been, and granted, I haven't watched as much film and games on a lot of these prospects as people that are gonna be watching tonight. I don't think I've watched as much as Grubb, but I've watched a handful to say, all right, I could see where the excitement is there with this guy, or I can see, okay, well, this is how he can translate. But I'm not thinking today. That's why I'm thinking, how can these skills in this situation, in this environment, or in this, with the current talent base, no matter how high or no matter how elite you think it is, what that can look like a year, 2 years from now. But what I'm curious from you, Chaz, is that you have a guy who's number one, who you want, who I don't know if I remember you said that you would pick him at 8 or not, but if whether that's the truth or not, a lot of people, including Schmidt, who's at the draft, shout out to him. We're going at some point going to chop it up with him, and a lot of others. I mean, from his workouts and some of the other people around the team have been monitoring. Who is that guy? And tell me why you are as interested in him as in any of the other guys that we talked about, the Dyson Daniels of the world. Tell me why you're interested in this guy and what you think he's going to be able to bring.
Ousmane Dieng. I think you have an opportunity to right the wrong well, I guess you can't say right or wrong, but Dale Demps was very interested in Giannis at one point. And he was one of the guys who saw the vision for Giannis, and it just didn't work out. I think, not to say Usman Jang is going to become Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm just saying that you look at this guy, his prospect, he's 19 years old, already pretty efficient from the corners, great handle ability, good rim defense. And this is assuming he doesn't go anymore. He's already playing against grown men in probably one of the most physical international leagues there are. And second half of the season, he kind of came into his own a bit. He is a bit of a unicorn, but I think, I like to use this analogy, right? Let's say you put your money in like Edward Jones or something like that, right? The first thing they're gonna ask you is like, well, how are you like with your risk? And yeah, with this situation, the Pelicans, since this is house money, the Pelicans, they really can't lose. But if they approach it from a safe perspective, you still may get where you need to go, but if you don't get, you can only not get rich. Is my point. You won't lose money, but you can not get rich. So I think you have to shoot for the stars with a guy like Jing, because with Dyson Daniels, I do like some things about Dyson Daniels, but when I look at what appears to be some of his physical limitations, I'm kind of like, I don't really know if I could.
What physical limitations?
I feel like when it gets into the playoffs, I think you need a more explosive offensive player. And
his ratings at the combine were some of the highest in explosiveness at the guard position.
As far as like attack, well, I haven't seen it on film as far as him, attacking the rim and just being that. What's the? I'm trying to think of a type. Like just a guy who's a relentless attacker at the rim. Because I think that's something that the team is sorely missing. Like a guy with superior athleticism who can attack the rim relentlessly. I feel like even if we look at his defense, it's like, yeah, cool. But I kind of look at it like when you look at Boston and the Warriors, right? Defensively, I don't think Boston did a bad job. I think they just couldn't generate enough offense. I think when it comes down to it,
ball, they dribble.
Yeah, but because they only really got about 3 guys who can score.
That wouldn't be the Pelicans' problem. The Pelicans already have 5 players legitimately who can score 15 points every night, and you have 4 who can score 20 points on any given night. You have 3 who can give you 40 points on any given night.
But can they do it in the playoffs?
But you asking that, but that's a question that you can't answer for any person until you're put in that situation. We've never seen Zion in that situation, so we could talk about that for a long time,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
But what I mean by that is like you just said, we've never seen Zion in that situation, right? And we only have a 6-game, I guess, amount of data for Brandon. I think the Pelicans are in a unique position to where they can afford to acquire as much offensive talent or go for guys with the highest offensive ceiling possible versus, a guy who may, land in
offense in that regard. I think you're viewing him more limited than he is in that regard. I'm not saying Jang is not up in that position that you're talking about with super athleticism and upside. I'm looking. For me, I don't know enough about, and it's an observational thing. For you, what you saw is what you saw. I'm not going to disagree and say you're absolutely wrong, because like I said, we're both speculating on players we have limited opportunities to view. It just seems to me, that they're both the same age. You know what I'm saying? They both played professionally. They both played internationally. And to me, his shot, people keep talking about his shot. When he shot in all of his workouts, he shot the ball very well, and he grew. The kid grew 1.5 inches during the season. And I think that impacts your jump shot as your body is continuing to develop in that guy. What you're looking for is somebody broken. Because when we drafted Herb, nobody was talking about Herb was a shooter, and he became a guy who could knock down pretty quickly 35% shot, and as a 3-point shooter on a pretty consistent basis. He went off and on. I don't think Dyson's shot is as bad as what Herb's was or his real expectation. And I think Dyson is an athletic guy. But I agree with you with Yang. I just don't know if he's a guy, how he views himself. You know what I'm saying? That would be my thing. Is
how do you mean, like, for us positionally, or do you?
No, not positionally, hierarchically. Because when you come in, if you view yourself competitively, I'm going to compete with everybody out here to get whatever minutes I get, and what I don't get, I just didn't earn. If you're that, hey, I have no problems with it. But if you are, I'm coming in and I'm the piece, bring me in. And I'm not saying that. I haven't spoken with this young man. I can't judge him like that. But I'm saying that to me is what the biggest thing for this team, because their margin for error is still relatively thin in my mind. It's not real super wide. You can't have any more negative mental pieces. You can't have a single person that mentally is not in with you as a team. Not with this whole family. I don't buy the family thing. I'm not a family. Right. It's a job. Are you in with this job, with this group, to do this work?
One of the things I'm curious about, Chaz, and then we're gonna move on. I have to play this our wonderful sponsor. I'm getting better at this, man. I promise. But what I'm curious before we, as the draft is about to start here in a couple minutes, what I'm curious about is when you mention the offense. I mean, if you have 3 guys, we don't know how they're going to look together, but you can. Right. I feel like at worst you could say you easily have 3 guys who can average 20 points a game, and you got a 4th in Jonas who's right there, right?
If the top 3 don't average 20 a game next year,
I'm saying CJ could dip down to 19 or 18, but I mean they're all right there, and you're talking 2 guys who can average, who you've seen average 24 and up, right? With Zion topping out for the second year. My question is, when you factor in that alone, you factor in four guys, like Grubb said, that not only can get you 20 a game, but they all can do it without help, right? They can all do it individually. How much more offense do you need in regards to just what we see now? We don't know what the team's gonna look like a year from now, an extra year. Like, how much do you, because even with Boston, right? I mean, hell, Golden State, there were several games throughout that finals run where, Wiggins stepped up, but Klay was missing in action during periods of time. Draymond didn't give you really anything offensively. Steph carried the load, right? Jordan Poole,
who had 2 games.
And Wiggins did his thing too. Gotta give Wiggins some
No.
But Wiggins was a bit more interior than from deep. He was, killing them on the glass in the transition and the mid-range jumper, hitting the turnaround. He wasn't out shooting threes.
Chris, the Chris Freeze.
I think Chris did freeze.
Oh shit.
So you got the floor, Chance. Go ahead.
Oh shit. I think the interesting thing with the Golden State comp is that, of course, this isn't the best version of Golden State. Like, you got Klay still recovering. Iggy is just, he's kind of done. But I will say the thing I think that would separate us from a team like Golden State is that they also play amazing defense. And my perspective, why I would reach for a guy like Jing, and I may be underestimating Dyson or undervaluing Dyson's offensive capability, is because I think we should aim to be a middle, top maybe 15 through 20 defensive team next year, hopefully. Okay. Because I can't see a team with Zion, CJ, and Jonas on the floor at the same time stopping anyone. And that's why I think you have to be so overwhelming offensively.
But you don't think they will be? You don't think they will be? Because I do.
I don't think, I don't want to say I don't think so. I'll say we don't know enough. To be fair,
I mean, they were top 10 offensively they were rated higher offensively down the stretch at times than they were defensively.
I just think, man, I hate to always bring my guy up, but JV, I think most nights, you playing JV off the floor, and we have to presume that other teams are going to get better, right? And we remember Zion, there was a couple times when last time we saw Zion play, he wasn't even closing games. There was a couple, we couldn't get a timeout to get him on the floor. It's like, no, he sucks defensively. Like he's not at this point in time, he wasn't very good. The last time we saw him. And CJ, I mean, bless his heart. We I think we just have to be so overwhelming offensively, and we can't afford to really, because we got a couple guys that they tend to come up small in the playoffs, man. And we know who they are. And one guy, we got a 6-game sample size, and the other guy we haven't really seen yet in Zion. So
I think you with Trey. I think Trey gives you. Something.
Trey's pretty good.
And Trey is going to be able to give you at the 3 and the 4, because I'm telling you, the boy's going to play a lot of 4 for this team. And I think, and Trey again, this is the dude who led all rookies in 3-point shooting last year at 37%. And started off horribly to get and brought his percentage up, and showed also that he could contribute. He stood the highest plus minus out of anybody on the roster during the playoffs. And there were nights where they didn't give him the ball except for maybe a couple of stretches during the game. So I mean, I think Trey offensively is a guy you could say is a double-digit scorer coming off your bench. I think eliminating Devontae is so important though, because Devontae brings your shooting down, because he is a volume shooter and a poor volume shooter. And Devontae brings your turnovers up, and teams exploit him immediately defensively. They look for him. You saw it. The Suns looked, as soon as Devontae came on the floor, they would Devontae. And they would go straight at him. That's the big run in game 5 started as soon as Devontae got on the floor. Right. Immediately. And so you have to get him out of there, because he doesn't help you defensively and he doesn't help you offensively. And if you take Chaz's approach and you say, we're gonna go heavy on offense, Devontae don't help you. And if you say and if you say you're gonna go heavy on defense, if you or more balanced,
he still don't help you.
And I think that's the thing with Jackson too, is that Jackson is so limited in how he helps you, and conditions have to be perfect for him. If he doesn't get to run, if he doesn't get to be free, he's no good to you, because defensively, you're going to get buckets on him too. So if you're playing Jackson 20 minutes a night, you're giving up buckets.
So I have a question for you guys. And I thought about this earlier. Shout out to my dog Snake, who kind of, I thought about this based off of him. I think he tweeted that, Herb Jones could have a leap, or his ceiling may not be what we think. Right. For example, I don't remember the exact tweet, but it was something like that. And that brought me to the thought about where we were last year at this time with this team. The guy who we don't talk about enough, he's no longer on the team, but Josh Hart his league changed a lot through about last year, right? But around this time during the draft, we weren't thinking about Josh Hart, right? We weren't thinking about him being as important of a piece as he would end up being throughout the year when he was playing for the Pelicans, and then on his way out being traded in the CJ McCollum deal. If you had to pick a guy on this current team, and you can't say Trey Murphy, if you had to pick a guy that you think is currently on this roster that could have anywhere of an even close to a leap to where we didn't see that coming, is currently on the roster, who would it be?
I think if you say I can't say Trey,
you can't.
It would have to be. I would have to give Jax that edge. Reason being is because I think we pretty much know what to expect from everyone else. I can't say Jose because I don't know what to expect from him. I think Jax is the only guy who you're like, yo, if he ever figures it out, it's going to be insane. But that's a big if, right? Najee, I don't really, what do you really, I think it has to be Jax. And truthfully, I think Herb, to your point, I think Herb is the reason why you shoot for the stars with this pick, because ultimately, I feel like you have a little more insurance since you hit on Herb, right? And if the pick, even if you play it safe, or even if whoever you get, right? Let's say you get a high floor, low ceiling guy, and he never really like reaches his ceiling, but he hits his floor. I think Herb is the guy that you're like, all right, Herb, everything is kind of riding on you to reach your ceiling or overachieve now because you didn't shoot for the stars. If you get what I mean.
I mean,
So
Herb to me feels kind of like when the Pistons drafted Sally and Rodman. You know what I mean? And they brought those two dudes in, and Sally was the first round pick, the one that everybody expected him all American, all ACC guy out of Georgia Tech, and he had a solid career, and was obviously he was enough of a guy to hang around and get 5 championships over the course of his career. So that I don't sneeze at that. But Rodman, the guy that they liked, but had the high IQ, the high motor, the things you couldn't teach. That's what it feels like for Herb to me, is that guy that his potential, because he's so willing. And you saw it. People sleep on him as an athlete. You saw it. They slept on him as a ball handler in the open floor.
yeah.
I mean,
Herb got
Herb
bunnies.
is a gym rat and a dude with a lot of athletic skill. Like, let's not the timing. That's why when I used to compare him to Ron Artest, and people say he's not as big as Artest, he's not as strong. I'm saying what I'm talking about is the Herb's strength in hands and his timing and his positioning, his ability to know where you're going and get there and use his body as a barrier. He's not as strong as Artest, but I think Herb, his peak is somewhere around that 20 points, 8 boards, 6 assists, couple steals, a block and a half. Like when Artest was in MVP conversations, when they were talking about that, when he was in Sacramento and in Indiana, that's what I think Herb potentially. Like, I don't think that's an unreasonable expectation for him. And I think if I asked him right now, if I said, Herb, you think you can do that? I think Herb would say he can do that. So I want those kind of guys. So yeah, I mean, if you shoot for the moon, give me a dude with that kind of mentality, though. He better be a dog from day one. Don't give me talent. I got all the talent, but I don't want to explore it myself.
I'd be ecstatic if Herb even turned into the Warriors version of Iggy, not this year's Warriors, but that prime Iggy, end of
maybe
the guy
Denver
who left
Iggy.
Denver, or even Denver, right? I want to pose a question to you guys because it's something that just hit me last night, right?
All right, Chaz, hold up.
Okay.
1 second. We gotta take a quick break.
Okay.
Hold on to that question. And I think by that time, if it hasn't happened already, Orlando will have picked. I think
The pick is made.
Adam Silver he's
The
at the
pick is
podium.
made. Paolo Banchero.
Wow.
Oh, yo, Vegas was right. Vegas was right.
So we're gonna react to that, and we're gonna and in chat, we want your question. We want some of you other anybody else that wants to speak. Come up here. Everybody's welcome. We'll be back shortly after a quick break. A few minutes.
Or Vegas.
All right, Jack. Oh shit, there we go. All right, guys, we're back here after a word from our sponsor. Thanks a lot, Lon Justin, putting that together. Shout out to Drash. Um, so before we left, the Magic went ahead. Hey, we got our man James up here. What's up, brother?
What's good, brothers? How y'all doing?
Man, we all right. We all right. We all right. We got spaces live and in the flesh here, man. Um, so before we left, Orlando made their pick to the surprise of some, but not Vegas. Not Vegas. Vegas was on this at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm assuming Orlando got a hold of it. Wolves got some information and put Jabari's name right back up there. And here we are. Paolo Banchero is the pick. But this is not an Orlando Magic podcast. This is a New Orleans Pelicans show. Before we left, Chaz, you had a question. James, you go first to answer it, and then of course Roy can go ahead and follow up.
Well, I wanted to ask, I guess similar to, I guess like playing a game of pool, right? For example, let's say the Spurs have interest in Jing. We know how the Spurs have been with developing talent, especially like overseas talent, right? And let's say Jing with the Pelicans, let's just say he happens to reach a ceiling with the Pelicans and he turns into Nicholas Batum, right? Just totally hypothetical, right? But if he goes to the Spurs, he'll turn into Kevin Durant. Again, it's totally hypothetical, right? Do you take him, even if you don't really want him or if he has a lower ceiling with you, do you take him just to prevent the Spurs from getting him? You don't do it?
I think you always do what's best for your team. Like you take the best player for your team, and the rest of the league just got to deal with you. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the way you build your squad. Is like you come deal with us because we're gonna have enough to be able to deal with whatever you got, and that's what the best teams in the league are, right? They are what they are, and Golden State's roster has flaws. Like I said, that ain't the 73-9 team. You know what I'm saying? Like Boston's roster clearly has flaws. Miami's roster has flaws. But if you are what you are for the 100 games that it takes to win a championship, you're probably going to have a better chance of being there. And that's what you got to do. The teams that win are who they are. They don't flinch. They don't change. They are who they are. You adapt, but you don't change. You know what I'm saying? And I think the Pelicans, that's the problem for so many years. We didn't know who the hell the Pelicans were. Yeah. And now you're like, okay, at least we know who this team is. Continue to be that. And now I think as fans, y'all will be like, if they aren't that, you'll recognize it immediately.
James, what do you think about the question that Chaz posed about playing, defense? Maybe trying to keep a player, away from someone else, even if that means picking them a pick too early. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I agree with Grubb in that sense because, as good as we see San Antonio when it comes to developing players, it seems like it really don't matter who they get. They gonna turn out to be good regardless, right? Like it could be like Primo ended up being real good. I remember when they drafted him, like who the hell is that, right? So if we pick Jane and like you said, his ceiling with us is Batum, and then they end up picking, let's say Dyson. Let's say Dyson fall down to them and he ends up being Kevin Durant. It really don't matter. Like it's really up to you as who you feel is best for yourself. And if Jane is Kevin Durant, he's just gonna be Kevin Durant regardless, right? Like Kevin Durant was gonna be Kevin Durant no matter where he went to. So I think it's just with the Pelicans, what you should do is just be concerned about who you think is the best player on the board at that time and focus on that. And I do think that, to Grubb's point, is that we do see that there is a certain style of player that they do like, right? Like there is a certain thing that they look for into a certain player, especially within the last draft. Like those only offensive guys under Willie Green, they're not gonna get no time unless they out there playing defense and doing the small stuff. So I think that if you're looking at those type of guys coming in, I would be worried of getting a AJ Griffin, to getting who's the other guy, even Ben Mathurin. Like he has probably some defensive skill sets, but if all he could do is score the ball, we see what happened with Trey. It was his defense that kept him off the court, right? So I think that to just stick to what you know, and just let it fall high lie.
All right. So I think as we currently stand, OKC went ahead and picked Chet Holmgren. First of all, I gotta say Chet is a very interesting individual. Chet, I look at him just like the way he carries himself and he dresses, and there are comparisons and things about him that I can't say on this show. But those that know.
I feel you. I feel you.
No, I got that vibe.
How you feel about Chet, man? He might weigh 180 pounds, man. I just like bro demeanor, bro. His swagger, like whatever.
He carries it. He walks like he got a 12.
Hey,
That walk like he got a 12.
Hey yo.
And you can say it that way. That's clean. That ain't gonna get you no trouble. They ain't gonna get you no trouble. Like you got a 12.
Am I lying? He said he gonna be the best player in 2 months.
What did I say?
And you know what? I rock with that. If you believe, they ask him, like, they say who's the best player. I think somebody asked him who's the best player in the game, like the best player in basketball now. He ranked himself number 2. I genuinely believe that he thinks that. And you got to be borderline crazy.
Do you not think Kobe Bryant walked in the league and said, "I'm the best player on the Lakers today"?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time. I may not show it today, but I already know I'm better than this dude. He's looked them all in the eyes and he said that. Like, I think that's the thing, is that that's something you cannot, you can't cultivate that. No. It either exists or it doesn't. That's why Kobe Bryant was Kobe Bryant. So, I'm not asking Zion Williamson to be Kobe Bryant because I know he's not. Like, I know Zion is not gonna kill somebody to win a championship.
It's only so many. It's only so many of them.
There's only so many of those. Yeah. But just give me the dudes. You give me enough Herb Joneses in this world, I'm gonna do damage. You know what I'm saying? Like, dudes with that mentality. I want talent, of course, but you give me enough of them Herb Joneses, because I think Giannis is really Herb Jones with all the the physical gifts that you could ever put in somebody.
Yeah.
Because Giannis's game isn't pretty, but it's effective because that dude believes in his game and he gonna do his game for all the minutes that he's on the floor. Giannis has not changed because y'all told him to. Giannis ain't come out here and try to be pretty because y'all asked him to. Giannis is coming in and dunking on people and getting 25 rebounds and handing out blocks and winning games. That's what he's doing. So that's what I want, is those kind of mentality. Just be you, bro. Go grind every day and beat people's asses.
Man, I don't know about Chet, but Jabari looks sick. He looked like he already bought his house in Florida. He about to cry.
Wait a minute.
Y'all seeing this dude? He looks sick.
Yeah, he hurt.
Yeah, I'll be hurt too. But Houston ain't got no state tax. I don't think Florida got no state tax.
No, Florida don't either.
Yeah, but Houston nice though.
I've been watching the tweets though, man.
Houston could get back really quickly.
Yeah, especially if KD or Kyrie leave, they got the Nets picks. So that could be really dangerous. That's why I think the Pels
people like Houston. They like the city. They like
Just give them
I'm not saying Giannis hasn't improved, bruh. People hear what they want to hear. Like, ain't nobody saying Giannis hasn't improved his offensive game. I'm saying fundamentally hasn't changed.
He don't rely on it. Like he don't rely on the extras. Like he add to his game. But it's not like you say, he go overboard, like, okay, now he's shooting 5, 6 threes a game. No, he's still going to attack the basket. Every now and then, he's going to give you 1 or 2 threes, and that's it. That's all you need from him.
Yeah,
I think changing for you. That's all. I'm not saying Giannis ain't, like, come on, people hear what they want to hear, man.
I don't remember who said this, but it was like years ago. I heard someone say this. Sometimes you just need a guy to focus on what he does well. Master what you do before you like, I learned how to do this off season. I learned how to do that. It's like, master a skill set. That way, when nothing else is working, you can always do that thing. Like, even a guy like Tariq Evans. Tariq wasn't the greatest finisher, but he can always get to the rim. Even if he got a Kobe assist, got to the line, he knew he could always get there. It didn't look like he
Over a
worked,
phone book.
but he
Jabari-
could get to the rim.
Ain't nobody was harder to get in a straight line than Tyreek, boy. You don't want to get Tyreek when you're on a straight line.
Yeah,
But
Tariq
and
was bad too.
That could go in so many different areas.
and that's my thing. Oh, go ahead, Chris. My bad.
No. I was just commenting, trying to keep up with things. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like that's always been my biggest issue when it comes to Jackson Hayes, is that when it comes to the offseason, everybody got so excited. Oh, I'm gonna shoot no threes. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get to box out. Learn how to box out. Like I won't. Like, can you get that down first? Can you get that down first? Like that's the thing that annoys me. Like when people, even with Zion, when people say, "Ooh, if he get a three, he'll be a killer." Then not yet. Like at some point, you can get you a three, but right now, just focus on what you do well and improve that skill set, and gradually add to it. It goes along. You don't have to sit there and all of a sudden change your entire game. I think those like Julius Randle is a good example of a player that completely went away from what he did well, and he fell in love with it, and now they finna run his ass up out of New York.
The reason BI, even though his stats are basically the same from last year, over the last 2 seasons,
Right.
the reason he was so much more effective was because he knew his spots. He knew his spots. BI stopped bullshitting with his. I'm sorry, my bad. Stop messing around. Okay, get to his spots. So that was the difference. And when a player just do, like you said, make them take away your thing. You have things when they take that away, but don't just take it away for them. Don't just make the game defensively easy for your opponent by stop doing what you do well because you want to show you can do other stuff.
That's
Bro,
my
you
big.
go into the bag when you need to. You
Right.
don't just be reaching in the bag indiscriminately.
Every great player that I've ever seen is that when certain stuff ain't working, like if the three ain't falling, if they have a hard time getting to the back, whatever it is, they know, you know what, I'm going to hit that corner elbow. Like that's my spot. I'm gonna hit that I'm gonna just break it down and do that. That's always been my issue with AD. It's like, bro, you can kill everybody that is on the block, but you decide you want to take threes. Like, okay, go right ahead. Like I'd rather for you to do that. That's why I do. That's one thing I will say that I do enjoy about Zion is that ain't shit about to deter him from getting to the rim. Ain't nothing gonna deter that man. Like, oh, you put it, I'm still gonna get to the left. I'm still get to the rim. And that's what I also, like you said about Brandon Ingram. Like once he found his spot, that's why I think there ain't gonna be no issues with how they gonna be able to work together with them three, because he know his spot, CJ know his spot, and I would assume Zion know his spot. Once you figure that out, everything else gonna flow along with it.
So
Yeah.
the Kings just took Keegan Murray at 4, according to Woj.
Go get Ivy, baby.
I'm
Gotta
sorry.
go get him.
According to Woj, they have no trade and plan to keep Murray. Woo!
I don't never understand what the Kings are doing though.
Perfect.
I never understand.
They
I
can
don't
hear
understand,
you.
like last year. Why again? When they
David, I missed
drafted
it.
Halliburton, and you have you bring it. I never understand that they don't. If you don't trade Fox, but you trade Halliburton,
This is interesting.
like
So the next, who's next? Who's next on the big board?
The Pistons. Ivy next.
Ivy.
yeah, I was the next guy.
But
So
see,
Ivy's the next guy, and then I mean,
It would
maybe
have been Keegan next, and then it's
But see,
Dyson, I guess?
all you're waiting for is to see if Ivy goes 5 or 6. Because if he goes 5 to the Pistons, which I think he will go to the Pistons.
Dyson going to the Pacers then.
I don't know, yo.
I don't know. I think the Pacers are weird. The Pacers are real weird.
They real weird. Because they got Buddy Hill. They got
I don't know
But
what the
they
Pacers are.
already said they say they're gonna rebuild. Go ahead, Chris.
Does anybody believe that Shaedon Sharp is a surprise pick in the next couple? No.
I think
he
the
will.
Pacers could get him. I think so.
But I don't want the Pelicans to take Shaedon Sharp.
Yeah,
No. I mean, I understand. I mean, that would work in our favor if Sharp goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Please, somebody take Shaedon Sharp.
I say this. I think this is a perfect opportunity for somebody to trade up for him.
I think ideally you want Sharp to fall, because someone loves Shaden Sharp, whether it be Toronto, the Spurs. Somebody loves this dude.
I don't think the Spurs love him. Spurs like Tari Eason more than like Shaden Sharp.
And I think what was the other team that was trying to get him? Atlanta, somebody like that. I think if the Pistons don't take Ivy and they take Mathurin, and then the Pacers take Sharp, you gotta find a way to go get Ivy.
Pistons be a fool if they don't.
I think the Pistons take Ivy, and I think I agree with Travell here that the Pacers take Mathurin because I don't think they love Buddy, and I think they also like Buddy coming off the bench. You can play Mathurin as a small 3, and I think that's what they're willing to do.
They go trade up.
Jay Knight is a Piston for now.
Yo, so let me ask this though, because there's only 2 players that would really upset me, man. And if the Pelicans take AJ Griffin or
I would throw my laptop.
Or Sohan, I'm gonna be so upset.
I'd rather have Sohan than Sharp or Griffin. I'd rather have Sohan rather than Sharp or Griffin.
I think Sohan is option 3 for them. I think that if they can't get Dyson, if they can't get Dang, then they will settle for Sohan.
You know what? I could live with that.
Is Sohan just Sohan in itself, or is it him at 8? Because I don't think anybody to me. I always envision if Sohan's the pick, you just trade it with Washington. Maybe you move Graham to get KCP.
Yeah, if he's your guy, and you can go back and get it.
Yeah,
for me,
because I wouldn't want to pay him 8 money.
No,
that too, and I think that's a missing element that a lot of people don't really take in, because you look at what was going on with DeAndre Hunter right now. It's like he's a solid player, but do you really want to pay this dude like fucking pick 4 money? Like
he's injured so much too.
Yeah, so that's not looking at like. But man, this is crazy. I think the Pels. I'm sure they've been calling to try to get Ivy, like, because
they ain't gonna get him though.
Yeah, I think it's way too expensive to get him right now.
The price, the Pelicans just don't have the players to give up.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Who do you give up to get up higher to make it worthwhile to somebody? Because Jackson ain't that appealing to anybody.
Right.
Devontae is not that appealing.
That's why I never understood. That's why I never understood the thought process of people saying that Jackson Hayes, 8, and whoever else they threw up in there that wasn't like a major player was enough to go up to 4. I'm like, don't get me wrong. I know the Kings are stupid, but I don't think they that stupid. Hey, yo, like they saw.
Who's taking a restricted free agent Jackson Hayes in his last year? Like nobody's doing that because you can't get anything for that.
Especially when you're desperate to make the playoffs.
Yeah, right. You're gonna take Jackson. Who believes that if you sign Jackson outright right now, that you could turn that dude into a starter in the NBA that's going to give you the value of a starter at max money on an extension?
Oh, you said it max with a max rookie extension?
Because that's what he's going to ask for.
You think he's going to ask for a max rookie extension?
Chad, you got to be uplifted into what Jackson Hayes and who he is, bro.
Jackson Hayes.
We got to talk, brother. No.
I'm thinking about giving. I think it would be a reach giving him 10 million, 8 million would be a reach.
It don't matter what you think about what he thinks he's worth.
Oh yeah, I'll say this. I don't believe in investing in big men in this day and age. I think you got Trey Murphy I think if Trey Murphy put on weight, he can give you small ball 5 minutes.
He keep growing. He gonna be 7'5" by the time.
Dude, that's why
did you see him lined up against most of the dudes? Like he was what was it? Jalen Durham or who he was standing next to?
That grub light. Yeah, the center from Duke. I'm forgetting his name right.
Mark Williams.
Yeah,
right. Like and Mark Williams, legit 7 feet or something like that, or maybe 6'11".
Mark Williams is a legit 7.
Okay, well he was at least about 2 inches shorter than him. Damn.
You understand that Jackson's not going to get more than 11, 12. I'm saying what Jackson ask for.
Yeah.
What people get and what they ask for. This is the NBA. He is going to ask for the max.
You know what I'll say though? I would carry Jackson. If you can't get a deal, like if let's say all your guys are gone, you want to move down to get a worst case scenario for me, then I would if you can't do that, I would hold on to Graham and Jax, and potentially I would have to move Temple because I need the roster spot. But
Somebody got to go.
Yeah, the only reason I would hold on to those two is because it's gonna be a couple guys when shit break down. They're gonna be a fire sale for. It's always at the deadline. Somebody's on the move, and that's when. And you're gonna need that tradable salary. That's the only reason why I'm like, I'm not totally against holding on.
But that's the thing with Jackson's salary is not really tradable.
No, it's like what they like $4-5 million.
Yeah, but I mean, you combine it with
you have to you're gonna have to pair him with somebody else in the
yeah. That's what I mean. Like you combine it with Graham or combine Kyra and Graham. Things like that, just to get a salary off. Maybe you take on a couple bad contracts.
Kyra feels like a mid-season decision. If Kyra doesn't come out of the gate, and show, then Kyra if he doesn't get past, because he should be farther along than Jose then.
Yeah,
Detroit got Ivy.
Kyra is your Jose insurance, just in case, like what we saw with the best.
But if he can't be equal to Jose as a first round pick in year 3,
you gotta go.
Then you gotta trade him.
What do you think? What do you guys think Portland will do? What do you think they should do? The other pick after Indiana, I think you guys mentioned who you all thought Indiana would pick.
They're gonna take a swing.
What do you think?
Swing. They got money to burn, and they got a draft.
I think they're taking Sharp.
Yeah.
I think they should take Sharp.
Ooh, really?
I can see that.
Yep.
And the reason
because they got to replace Dame. This Dame last year in Portland, no matter what.
Dame's gonna be a Pelican fan.
Sell tickets.
Better go get you a nice jersey, brother. You better
see the reason why I'm kind of worried about Portland too, because I'm like, oh shit, they got Jeremy Grant for cheap, yo. They didn't have to give up anything. And it's funny because that pick lands top 4, we still get the pick. Ain't that some shit? But yo, I'm a little worried about Portland because it's starting to look like an arms race a little bit.
Portland can take McLaurin too.
Is that David Ivy mama?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But
Portland's gonna want to score. That's whatever Portland gets, they need somebody to sell some tickets.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sharp, the mystery alone.
I mean, but Dyson don't sell no tickets in Portland.
No,
Dyson don't sell no tickets in Portland.
Like I think Sharp, the mystery alone will get the fans in there. Then you can sell it with a healthy Dame, AJ. You can sell it, right?
I think they're going after Aiden.
Because you're looking for the heir apparent. That's the person that you're trying to sell in this lottery is the person who's taking over for Dame.
So do y'all think Detroit goes after Aiden now?
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
They just ain't been.
Hell yeah! If you Detroit go for Aiden.
Yeah.
Because you got
tampering happened already.
Yeah, you got young center. The only person that's gonna be eating up salary on your team. Because Cade Cunningham still is what
rookie deal.
Rookie deal.
2-3 years away. Yeah,
you got Ivy.
Be nice with it, y'all crazy.
That's why I was like, if you Pistons, like you draft Ivy and figure it out. Like he too talented to pass up. Like I think him and Cade Cunningham can work together.
And it's not gonna be the same amount of pressure as it would. Here's the reason he didn't want to go to Sacramento. I mean, outside of it being Sacramento, you're not gonna have the pressure. You got somebody next to you. Even as long as his mind is right. If his mind is right, I think Ivy. I'm not worried about
no for the Grizzlies.
I was ready to play.
And
I was ready to play. Yeah. I don't know how high his ceiling is.
Right.
But he's gonna come in day 1, and you ain't got to worry about him.
If it's mine, that's a hell of a pick. Ivy was one of my favorite prospects personally.
He was my top prospect.
Taking Mathurin.
Yeah, per Wolf.
The Pacers wanted a 2. They wanted a 2, and the Pacers are stuck because they keep trying to play this game with Miles Turner.
Brother,
and they are never going to trade Miles Turner. They can't do it.
G League tape right now, Chaz. Get ready.
It looks like because Portland not taking Dyson.
Man.
It's gonna happen, brother.
I'm gonna have
Portland ain't taking Dyson.
I'm disappointed.
They're not taking that. Well, the Trailblazers ain't taking that.
No. Well, I mean,
Portland ain't taking Dyson.
They're taking it.
I can't wait. Hey, the space is gonna be lit.
The space is gonna be crazy. Yeah, because I watched a lot of film. I watched a lot of film on these guys recently, and I'm just like,
so what do you? So listen,
I don't know
because I'm prepping you for it. One of the things the brother said is that playing next to Scoot Henderson and Jalen Hardy was that he sacrificed a lot offensively in his game.
We're talking about Dyson.
That's what he said.
His coaches, the coaches in the G League, say that this dude, like, they said, don't worry about the shot. That's the biggest thing for them. Is like they're like, don't worry about the shot. The shot is good. The shot is good.
I forgot who was I was watching, but maybe it was Mike Smith or one of these scouting people, and they were sitting there saying that he did change his game because again, you on the G League at night, you surrounded by other talented players, so he's just like, you know what, I'm just going to play my role and play defense and pass the ball. Like that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay,
a lot about where your mind is.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this, because this may put me at ease, right? Do you see Dyson Daniels is sailing as the third best player on the championship team?
Yes.
Yeah. Because
he could be
at worst fourth.
Look, if Drew Holiday can be the third best player on the championship team, okay, Dyson Daniels can be the third best player on a championship team. Yeah. If when the Lakers won the title with LeBron and AD, who was the third best? Dwight Howard was the third best player.
Who was number 3 for Boston? If Boston would have won the championship, who was number 3?
Marcus Smart would have been the third best player on that team.
There you go. If Marcus Smart on a team that, in my opinion, should have won the championship, if they stopped turning the damn basketball over.
Yeah, you could have said we're doing it for light-skinned people.
You could have said
that's fair.
But I'm saying, if you're making an argument, if Marcus Smart was the third best player on that team on a finals contender, you can make the argument for Dyson Daniels eventually. I could see it.
It's funny you said that because I was telling someone today, I think Dyson Daniels' ceiling is in the Marcus Smart tier of player. Now I could be wrong.
If Dyson Daniels the reason Draymond Green is going to be a Hall of Famer is because he's the the third best player
that runs
on a championship team without any championship numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like if you look at the numbers, he does not. You know what I'm saying? So I think Dyson. When they talked about, I remember when Griff first got to New Orleans, he said he kept envisioning Zion developing to a Draymond type role. No, that ain't it.
No, I don't see it.
Zion is a face the basket dude.
Yeah.
If anybody's going to develop in this draft, that would develop into a Draymond type role, but better offensively, because Draymond is a disaster as far as scoring and has no athleticism. Dyson Daniels could be a guy in that 15, 5, and 5. He could be, 15, 6, and 6. Do those kinds of things for you. Hit the big three. Like again, the same thing we talk about Herb's bottom. If it's Denver Iguodala, if that's what Dyson Daniels' lowest ceiling is Denver Iguodala, then is that worth it? Because that's the third best player. Then you say on it.
What if his floor is Lonzo Ball?
That's still
is this floor New Orleans Lonzo Ball?
Chicago Lonzo.
That's Chicago.
Chicago's floors. Chicago's first in the East when he was healthy. When he left, that defense fell apart.
Lonzo wasn't Laker Lonzo.
Don't give me Laker Lonzo, but give me New Orleans or Chicago one, because Chicago's number one defense was top 5 defense when Lonzo was
making an all defensive team. He was making an all defensive team.
Right. Because here's the thing about the Lonzo Ball thing, which it sucks because I know Pelican fans got this bad taste of Lonzo and the stands and all that stuff. Like Lonzo's issue with us was the fact that we needed him to be a third best scorer, and he couldn't give you that on a consistent basis. He didn't
go to the basket too.
Right, well that too. Yeah.
He couldn't drive.
He couldn't drive. So already just because he couldn't drive, Dyson don't have that problem. He don't have that problem with extra basket.
Lonzo had too many flaws because he worked his ass off. Yeah. Right?
So he had too
many things that he had to fix in a short period of time for people to be happy. Right? Yeah. He became a better mid-range shooter. People said, all right, well, what's next, right?
And the expectation to be the number 2 pick, too.
Yeah, I mean, all those.
Magic Johnson saying you're going to have Raptors hanging up in the. Yeah.
Yeah,
his rollout, he was done a major disservice in his rollout.
Look at Melo.
But he has the
Melo,
same role.
you know what I'm saying? Melo is everything that is. I mean, his pop said Melo was going to be the best of the
he said he was going to be the best
anyway, and he
Portland
clearly
will
is.
get Sharp at 7.
Okay, so
It's
Dyson.
Anthony
There
Pass.
you go.
Huh?
You say Shaden Sharp at 7?
He's at
Yep.
7.
You know what? I think it's gonna be Jing. I'm
No,
going
you
with
don't.
No, not at 8.
Now you just
Not
it's
at
gonna
8.
be Jing. I believe this.
But why would you?
wait a minute.
They trade and Sharp.
Blazers ain't trading no Sharp.
What happened, Chris?
I can't say anything yet. We'll see.
It's gonna be Jing, baby. Jing,
I can't say anything yet, but it's looking. It's if I was putting my money in, I'd say Daniels, but we'll see.
Wait, you said you was putting your money. It's gonna be.
If I was putting my money down, and I would say it's Daniels.
Okay.
All right.
No.
But we'll see.
Oh, though he looks like
see.
Kyle Anderson to me, yo. I just do not
That's
like
disrespectful.
yo.
Wait,
When I
okay,
first
wait.
watched him, I was
He don't
like,
move like Kyle Anderson, man.
I'm about to say, they call that man slow-mo, bro. He way more athletic than
the
Kyle
two
Anderson.
players that jumped off, I'm just talking about body language, not game.
Okay.
The two players that jumped off the screen to me when I watched this dude is Klay Thompson and Kyle Anderson. I said he has such a weird, like.
If he Klay Thompson and Kyle Anderson, I'll take that.
I'll take Klay Thompson. I don't want Kyle Anderson.
I mean,
Even if you got Kyle Anderson, you still get a dude that's been a starter on a playoff team and a team that had the second best.
So, I'm about to say,
at the end of the day, it's gonna come down to, at least if we're talking this year, it's gonna come down to what Zion, CJ, BI, and to some extent, Jonas if Jonas is healthy, but it's gonna fall on those 3 guys.
It's the start. This how quickly do they figure out the hierarchy offensively and how things need to move? Because, like you said, it took about 2 weeks really for BI and CJ to figure it out with spacing, and they talked to each other, communicated it real well.
Right.
But let's see how it works. You know, how quickly do they get Zion? And it's tough now. I think it gets made tougher with BI getting hurt this summer, and having to have surgery. That they don't get to get on the court really till they get to training camp. They don't get to hang around and maybe play a little bit in the gym because BI surgery. So hopefully it doesn't take them. They don't do a New Orleans Pelicans 20-game start and you have to catch up the rest of the year because in the West, you really have the opportunity to be a top 6 seed this year legitimately. And not back your way into the playoffs anymore because the last 3 times the Pelicans got in, essentially they backed their way in and got lucky. So you don't want to be in that position again.
That's another reason why I really hope that the Pels don't, I really would have liked to see some staff upgrades. Maybe that hasn't been announced yet. Who knows? But I really hope the Pels don't go in and say, well, hey, we just got to stay healthy and we're good. It's like, hold up, because you're assuming everyone else isn't getting better. The Clippers, I think the Clippers are going to be the best team in the West next season.
If they stay
bring in Kyrie.
I about to say,
if they stay in paint,
they're going to have 3 dudes that combine 40 games. That's what they're going to have. They bring
I said that though, but you got to think. Look, Trey Mann, Reggie Jackson, and
get your 8 seed.
But hey, they had the Pelicans down by 15 points going into the 4th quarter almost. So
they did.
The Clippers,
they played great all season, yo.
Ty Lue is a hell of a coach.
Yeah, he is.
He probably the best coach in the league right now. Like
Ty Lue is a hell of a coach.
Yeah.
He
So
did a job.
I think we kind of, and I don't know, and I think Klay gonna be back to himself, and if Wiseman is anyone next year, because the talent, the pedigree's there.
I don't think Klay has to figure out now. Klay's gonna have to become more Kyle Korver.
Woes already spoiled it. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's over for.
No. I want Chaz to say it.
I'm gonna see.
He said,
I'm looking at your face. I'm just waiting.
Dyson Daniels stands at the top of New Orleans' draft board at number 8. You know what that shit means? That's a pretty way to say it. Chaz got to watch some goddamn G League footage the rest of the off season.
Well, like I said, yo, I'm a root for him.
Hey, in 2 weeks you'll start to know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In 2 weeks we'll start to learn because we learned so much last year.
Yeah,
Because I say
ecstatic to be wrong.
I say this because like this is my whole philosophy going into the whole 8th overall pick. I got the thing on you. I ain't trying to hear what the hell Perkins got to say about no Pelicans. But anyway, if you look at the last 10, 11 years, and you look at the people that are picked around that point, like my expectation is not that high in that sense for this pick. Like the 3 best players that I saw that was picked at 8 over the last 10 years were Terrence Ross, Colin Sexton, and it was one more dude, but they about on the same level of
you
play,
said the 3
right?
best players. Oh, okay.
3 best players. Yeah, the 3 best players at 8, right? Somebody said Frank Wagner. I'm like, that's 1 year, bro. We don't know what the hell you're gonna end up being. But up until then, it was Terrence Ross, Colin Sexton, and another dude that was about on that same level as Terrence Ross. And I'm like, that's okay. Terrence Ross is okay on this team. Colin Sexton will be okay on this team. Like that's but other than that, you got Frank Ntilikina. You got a better chance to get Frank Ntilikina at 8 than a superstar. Like let's just be real. So that's why I'm saying temper your expectations. But I do like the fact that the Pelicans say, hey, you know what? We recognize the dude that he's not highly flashy, but he has, good size. He got good mindset. He knows how to play defense. He knows how to get in his role and do his role well. I'm not mad at Dyson Daniels. I would have been mad they picked AJ Griffin because everybody like, oh, you need a shooter. Well, he can't do shit else.
I'll say this, right? For me, it was only 2 guys that I thought was going to be available, right? Between Zhang and Dan. I actually thought Mathurin was going to the Pistons, but I don't hate it, and I'm gonna give it a shot. Of course, I don't have no choice, but as long as it wasn't Sohan, that would have just been it for me. That would have been it for me. I can live with this
because I don't think look, Chaz. One of the things that's interesting, and I want people to keep into perspective is that look, and we've been talking about it a while. What they did at 8, I don't expect, especially you draft somebody in the backcourt. Even if they would have drafted Jane was going to take some time. He wasn't doing it this year, right? So we're looking at what a lot of people are looking at what this team needs with this pick today with the current roster that's here. Next year, this ain't going to be the same roster 1 through 15. There's going to be some guys this year that you expect and some guys you don't, right? That's how it always goes. So, find a guy that you like. Look, man, shout out to Trey Murphy's dad, Kenny Murphy. I was talking to him the other day, and we talked about Daniels, and he said that in the workouts, like he may not have had the greatest offensive workout, but of course he was spectacular defensively, and they couldn't shake him. No matter what they threw at him, he wasn't like, you know what I mean. And if it's true that he had a bad workout and you still couldn't shake him mentally, that's dope. Well, if that's true, that tells again that says a lot about what his.
Oh, you been couldn't shake it mentally.
Yeah, and physically, and look, I think we're rating the athlete.
That's what I care about. Like if he fell on the ground,
think about it. He projects to be a good rebounder for his position. He projects to be a really good defender. He may not be. I'm not saying he's gonna be. I don't think he's going to be a prototypical point guard, right? I think the word connector is being thrown out because that's what they need anyway.
Josh Giddey.
I mean, but think about the fact this man at 19 decided to sacrifice when you're in a stage to where you're trying to get drafted, bro. You're trying to get paid. You're trying to maximize the most you can out of yourself to go as high as you can in the draft. A lot of people take that as I gotta get mine, bro. I gotta get mine. He was able to stay to be him, sacrifice, and still go in the top 10. Now you may, like that, but that shit matters because who else do you need to have the basketball in their hand, bro? Zion taking over 15 to 20 shots a game. BI taking close to 20. CJ taking 15. You
definitely don't want another high usage guy. And also, I don't even think this team would do well with the traditional point guard just because you got Herb can facilitate somewhat. You got so many guys who can facilitate.
I just can't believe you keep Anderson, bro.
You know,
Look, I think you're gonna learn. We're gonna learn. Look, we saw it really quickly, and none of the guys that we've seen over the last 3 years under the Griffin regime, that the way we saw them in summer league, their careers have been pretty consistent with what we saw. Jackson Hayes, we said Jackson Hayes is a crazy athlete when we first saw him in summer league.
Yeah.
3 years later, Jackson Hayes is a crazy athlete. Ain't much else. He a crazy athlete. When we saw Zion, we said that's the strongest bastard we ever seen. We just grabbed the ball. He's still that. Like, we don't know if he can defend, but he everything he was in that one summer league game, Zion is still that. Last year, you saw immediately Herb was relentless. You saw Jose was relentless defensively. You saw that Trey was going to attack the basket and could shoot the ball. We saw all those things in summer league last year, and they carried over. So I think we're going to learn real quick when we get to Las Vegas and we see Dyson Daniels on the floor, how he presents himself. So I think you'll be able. I think, Chaz, you have. It won't take long for you to form an impression.
And it's going to come down to the stars, man. He could be, even if he's Derek White, it's going to come down to the stars. Yeah. Boston lost in the finals because Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown couldn't take care of the basketball. It was right there. The pieces were there. Defensively, they were there. They couldn't. They couldn't. Golden State, Steph was begging anybody to help him. Anybody. And some nights it happened, and some nights it didn't. It's gonna come down. If Zion, BI, and CJ on some nights, if those guys show up, they're gonna win basketball games.
If you can't score, you better damn sure make sure that you can make stops.
Yeah, that's another thing. You in a conference where you gotta defend Ja, you gotta defend Steph still. I mean, nobody gonna defend Steph, so let me not even mention him. You gotta defend Ja. You got to defend Luka. You got to make these dudes' lives as difficult as possible. So
that's who the ones that give the Pelicans the biggest fits. Luka,
Luka gonna get everybody.
Yeah, eats everybody, but against the Pelicans, he be having historic games.
Luka
45, 15, and 10.
When Herb Jones guarded him, didn't he have 50 through 3 quarters?
Who that? Herb? Or Luka? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was embarrassing.
But it seemed like something is if Luka see New Orleans on your jersey, it's like
he got something in him.
So maybe he lost 2 games to New Orleans since he got there.
And that's even with even with Drew Holiday. He was cooking Drew. Like so
that worst loss in Pelicans history was him with Drew guarding him.
Yeah.
Do we think Dyson has a chance to crack the rotation this year?
Later in the season.
Because he'll defend.
Yeah,
because he'll defend.
I was about to say, I think him and Jose gonna have a very interesting. I don't even count Kyra, honestly, dude. Like, because he's not even. Is he even like? I know he had an injury. I'm not trying to diss him. Is he even like doing basketball activities at this point?
But what is he? My thing with Kyra is, what does he do that's great other than be fast?
Yeah, and
that was it. That was like my whole thing when we talk about Jose and Kyra. I'm like, Jose is a better player because even though you would say Kyra will be more talented, Jose does everything else better than what Kyra does.
Basketball.
Right. And also, if you think about it, as fast as Kyra is, it ain't like Jose is slow. Like Jose pretty damn fast himself.
And Jose got a floater.
And Jose is in control. Like, you can be fast and reckless or like getting nowhere fast. Like, you know what I'm saying? Jose is like he's in control.
He has a plan.
What I like about Jose is that he probe dribbles.
Yeah.
Right.
He's the only guy on the roster that probe dribbles.
Yeah.
And just gets in the paint and just sees if something's gonna happen. Because Rondo did that. And that's what Rondo was so gifted at. Just getting in the paint and seeing if the defense shifts. Nobody on the roster does that other than Jose. And so that's Kyra's never really showed that that's what he could do. And CJ is going to come up and rather pull up with that jumper, pick and pop, or kick it out or whatever, or go all the way and finish the layup. But he's not going to probe to look for the assist or find that drop off.
Every time Jose, go ahead, Chris, my bad.
No, my bad. Go ahead.
No. I mean, I was just going to say Dyson, answering Chaz's question, Dyson offers you a lot of flexibility, right? He offers you instant lineup flexibility, right? That size, I mean. And what they've been trying to, like, they have a lot of switchable components, but now, like, Dyson gives you another NBA or close to NBA body at the guard position with that overall flexibility. Like you can run.
You're gonna be sick if the Spurs take Jang, aren't you?
Nah, not really. I mean, no. The reason I said that because I knew if they got Dyson or Jing, I feel like either one of those guys, and with the Spurs, I just admire the Spurs so much, man. I think they're gonna be a really, really solid player, like really good player. They got Sohan.
They got Sohan.
Sohan's a Spur.
Thank God. Yes. Yes.
What you mean? That's
Well, you said he's gonna be Kevin Durant now.
Oh hell, that dude.
You said he's gonna be Kevin Durant now.
Yo, I can't lie. I was watching.
Kevin Durant just got drafted.
I was watching Sohan and I was almost in disbelief, yo. I think some bad shit must have come out about Jing for him to, unless people just really confident in Sohan.
No, he just wasn't projected to. He was projected to be around about 10 to 12.
Yeah,
So,
he rose up a lot in the last month or so though, like the last couple months. Now I don't know that could have been all smoke and mirrors as well. Though.
I was about to say because the draft pretty much has fallen.
Almost about how we all thought, right?
The only thing that was changed was Keegan going 4.
Yeah,
and
I saw
Ventura going 1, but we knew Ventura, Chet, and Jabbar were gonna go 1, 2, and 3.
Now it gets funky because Washington don't need him.
Nope.
Washington don't need a big. Washington got bigs.
I'm gonna read
They gonna do that.
This tweet says the Pelicans are going to be able to play gigantic defensive-minded positionless lineups with Dyson Daniels, Herb Jones, and Brandon Ingram together, and Zion Williamson. Sign me up. Trey Murphy, you can throw in there, for example.
Yeah.
Like, I think that, man, it allows you so much more flexibility, and it's a guy right away that he's not going to make plays that hurt you. And my argument, Chaz, to the ceiling when we were talking about these kind of guys that, and this is just my opinion, I think most individuals that are drafted at 8, they don't walk into situations where like the responsibility is like, there's no crazy expectation on Dyson. Like he has none.
Yeah, he has none. He
gets the chance to fit in.
Yeah.
Like normally it would be a really bad team that he would be asked to start from day one and try to give him 15 and 7 assists every night. He might not be ready to do that.
Well, let me ask y'all this. Is this the first time that we've drafted a player that I can recall that we just like you can just sit there and just get ready. Just train, just work. We don't need you right now. Just
Julian Wright.
Just marinate.
No, I had to play because we needed a wing at the time. Chris Paul was just so good. It's like
they made Juju play, and that was terrible for all of us.
Yeah, he was terrible.
Hey guys, we got Rail 12 here at the watch party at the yacht club. Rail, can you hear me?
What up? What up?
What's up, man? Hey, first of all, how you doing? Tell us how the people out there responded to the pick. What's the morale like?
I mean, so far everybody seems cool. I'm going around kind of trying to get a feel for how everybody feels about it. But so far, everybody I talked to is like super hype. I think the vacuum Dyson jokes is coming soon because people are nerdy like that. But what up, Grub? What up, James?
Keep going.
I mean, hey, look, I haven't gotten to talk to many people yet. I just saw the message to give me the link to get on here to tell y'all how the vibe is. But it's not too many people here tonight. It's actually very chill. They got the misters going outside, so it's not as hot and miserable. But yeah, I might dip back in. I'm just going to go around right now and talk to a couple more people and see what they think. But so far, I don't see anybody upset. It seems like everybody's excited about Dyson. So, yeah, the vibe is good.
All right, Relaton. Thanks for checking in. I think we're gonna be on for another 20 minutes or so. Come back at some point, man.
All right, cool. Peace.
Coach, can you hear us?
Just an old bitty coach wanting to congratulate the Pelicans for a good draft.
Can you? Hey, so. Coach, man, first of all, welcome up here. Y'all gotta follow. Y'all have to follow Coach Jerry on Twitter, man. We always have pretty balanced conversation, just talking basketball. Man, what in your time, watching the game, being, I see like when we talk on Twitter, you have a way of seeing all perspectives. What do you think about what the Pelicans did at 8, and what do you see when you watch, or what you've seen of Dyson Daniels?
Well, he's a young fella that they don't need right away. He can work on his game. He's going to get on the floor early because of his defense. And he's so unselfish. I see him spending maybe 10 games at Birmingham and then coming in with the second line and just providing defense, passing, and eventually taking CJ's place when he moves on.
That's an element. We got B Ross up here. What's up, brother?
What's going on, y'all?
Hey man, same thing, man. What you think about the pick, and then afterwards, man, I want to hear what Grub thinks about that last part of what Coach mentioned about Dyson maybe playing earlier or contributing. If you say it's after 10 games in Birmingham, that's right away to me, or further or quicker than I would think. But B Ross, what's up, man? Tell us what you think about the pick.
I mean, I like the pick. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like a little faster Kyle Anderson. Makes the right plays. It makes the right plays. Thinks about it, but methodically, right? I kind of agree with Coach. However, right, all this is we've seen what Willie Green does to these young players, right? So he may have to wait his turn for a little while before he can see the court, right? It all depends on what happens in those practices, in training camp. Maybe he sees what he saw in Herb Jones, and he's like, okay, we got to find some minutes for this guy. But, it's all going to come down to that. I mean, we get to watch him in Summer League, so we'll really see what happens. Hopefully Trey joins him, and then we can see those two on the court together, and then we'll see how that works. See some zip passes to the corner to Trey for some threes. I'm excited.
Bro,
I mean, I think the biggest thing when I look at him getting on the court early is you just, the starting five, and then you're talking about Jose at backup point guard, Trey wherever Trey slots in at the 3 or the 4, Larry Nance playing the 4 or the 5, and then we're also talking about you still find minutes for Najee, who's already gotten hurt, at least earned some of Willie's faith by the end of the year, and however they choose to use Devontae, if he's still on the roster when the season starts, if he's there, he's going to play somewhat in the season. That's just, it's going to happen. I'd be resigned to that fact until they move him. They're going to play him, whether it's 10 minutes or 5 or whatever. I think he can earn those minutes onto the floor, but I think, yeah, absolutely, it's going to take time. He's going to have to prove it in practice. He's going to have to prove that he can stop people consistently. The other things are going to be easy to him. I think, yeah, being on the floor, he'll understand spacing. He'll understand where he should and should not be. But it's going to be, if he's going to get on the floor at all, it's going to be, can you rebound and can you defend? And I think it's going to take him a while to earn that trust from Willie. Maybe if somebody gets moved and some space opens up, but Nance and Trey are going to get the lion's share of those opportunities, I think. And B.I. and C.J. and Jose and Herb are going to be rotating if there was 1 and 2 spots so much that I wonder early on where those minutes are going to come from.
To me, I think if he's going to take anybody's minutes, it's going to be Najee for sure.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, starting out the gate, Najee's already has that somewhat of a level of trust from being around. You know what I mean? So you got to earn that.
We just watched Garrett Temple soak up a lot of minutes that we weren't supposed to watch. You ain't gonna tell me after the playoffs, Najee Marshall had. Well, let's be honest, man. When he has his flaws, but there were times and there were games where Najee helped off that bench, inject energy into a team that was, lacking it in certain elements. He was aggressive, driving the ball to the cup. And we know what he can bring in some matchup, in some respects defensively, for all that he can't, what he can't do shooting the basketball. I think Najee's gonna have a great opportunity to keep those minutes, at least starting out. But let me read this to you, James. I want you to respond to this. This is my dog J-Dub 9911 Jeremy. on Twitter, he put out a tweet that says 6'7" Zion Williamson, 6'8" Dyson Daniels, 6'8" Herb Jones, 6'9" Brandon Ingram, 6'7" Larry Nance, 6'7" Najee Marshall, 6'11" Jackson Hayes. It says 6'9" Trey Murphy, but we already decided he's about 7'9" now. So when you think, what do you think of when you hear
7 foot Jonas Valanciunas
and 7 foot Jonas Valanciunas?
Like, let's not forget that.
Yeah. What do you think, James, when you hear or when you read that, when you read something like that, just based off of the past 20 years, just asking for one dude that was 6'8" that could do something on the floor, like
Look, glory is my friend.
Just anybody that's not too small or too or 6'11". Can we get 6'6", 6'7", 6'8" that could dribble and chew gum? You got a lot of.
It was always between 6'4" and 6'11". We couldn't get nobody between.
Couldn't get in between.
I would say we are a far contrast from what we were 2 years ago, where we were looking for wings. We were just like, we'll give you a pick for Robert Covington, like anything. Just bring us one of them dudes, right? What I hear from that is that you are in a situation where you have a good number of athletic, strong wing level guys that size-wise you shouldn't be at a disadvantage, right? Like it shouldn't be too many teams that you would go against where you would feel that you should be at a size disadvantage, right? And you would think that you also have some of these guys that are athletic enough to at least stay in front of certain guards to where you can, reach in, get the ball from. We saw how Herb Jones was when it comes to his length and getting his hands in the passing lane. We saw B.I. Like, that was one of the things that coming from LA that everybody was excited about, that, hey, he may not be a great one-on-one defender, but the one thing he was good at was getting his hand in the, oh, Lord, what happened? Who?
Jang is a New York Knick.
That means he's going to turn out to be Frank Ntilikina. But
they just traded him to OKC.
I'm sorry, bro.
They just traded him to OKC.
They just traded him
for Chet?
But Dort?
Chet
No,
going to New York?
Probably for 12. They probably
for 12 and Dort?
Probably for 12. I don't know what.
I was about to say
they
traded for Chet. I was about to
You're about to pass.
No.
Because look, that would be a Knick thing. Yo, that's PTSD at its finest.
Girl about to pass. Because I ain't gonna pay. My mind went to 12. I didn't even go to Chet. He was like, for Chet. I was like, yeah. I was like, wait a minute. Hold up. Let me go look at this. What did they give up to convince OKC to get Chet? What happened? They must have sold a soul or something. But anyway.
OKC they are gonna have the skinniest team.
Wait, so what did the Knicks get?
I don't see it yet, but if they're saying they traded them, if they traded back, I'm assuming it's gonna. I mean, I would
trade back one pick.
That's why I got confused. Like, it's one pick though.
Why would you trade back one pick?
I don't know. OKC.
Who did you get? There better be a player attached if you're gonna go.
That's what I'm thinking. Who do OKC have that they
would? Dort?
Lou Dort?
No.
Why would you do that when you have? It's like if you get Dort,
first round picks.
You already have Alec Burks for picks.
They I think they loading up then to try to make a move. Then got to be right.
They're trying to get Kyrie.
David
Grubb has been a Knicks fan, man, since
Hey, Grubb, go ahead, leave the Knicks and Detroit Lions alone, dog. Cause they gonna give you an ulcer.
Oh man, that's but dog, that's a skinny. So wait, so that's
it.
Jay Poco.
Yeah, Poco.
Giddy, SGA, they all skinny.
Skinny ass team.
They
white
long though. They long.
White. Well, Jane ain't white. He light skinned. But
I like that though. I mean, I like that move by OKC if they're high. I like that. I'm a fan of that.
Again, I don't understand what OKC is doing because you
Yeah.
can't just the
They're trying to
Pelicans
tank for
tried this.
Victor.
It doesn't work.
Yeah,
You
what's
can't
the
have
final-
7
what's the
kids on
final-
your roster.
They're trying to tank for Victor. They're trying to get Victor.
You can't raise all them kids. It don't work. And and the process didn't work for Philly.
I think the thing
Philly,
that
all through this, they got all those number 1 picks, and they've never been to a finals, and they've been to a conference final. They haven't even been to a conference final.
And the
So
1 year
all the
they
shit that
got
Philly
close,
did.
they traded the one dude that could have got him there.
All right,
Let him walk.
moving forward here. I wanted to ask you this, Grub. What do you, as a defender, where do you see Dyson thriving at? I mean, I think he'll be able to do a bunch of different things, but you've watched him more than me. Do you think he's going to be a really good defender at the point of attack? Do you think he'll be able to guard point guards out? I mean, not necessarily out the gate, but long term. Well, do you think he'll be more so people? Huh?
He's a great on-ball defender already. He is a
Even
very
against
talented
guys
on-ball.
6'3", 6'2", 6'4", guys that are smaller and quicker than him.
Yeah, he like I said, his measurables, his lateral movement, his turn, his quickness level is exceptional for his height. I think as he gets bigger, he'll slow down. That's just natural. But I think you can switch him. He's one of those guys that you can switch 1 through 4. And in the NBA, that alone is a highly valuable commodity. That's what essentially when we talk about Robert Covington, that's why Robert Covington was able to get the money he was able to get, is because they've had him essentially guard 1 through 5. And I think Dyson Daniels is not that strong, but you can switch him easily and feel comfortable that he can contest shots at his size. He's got a 7-foot wingspan at 6'7", and is growing, and maybe he might end up being 6'9" at the end or 6'8", 6'9", like and when he finishes growing. So I think defensively, the Pelicans are putting themselves in a position where they feel comfortable because you are going to have to cover for BI. You're going to have to cover for Zion. You're going to have to cover for CJ at times. So get these long, rangy cats who can cover a lot of ground real fast and can also get their hands right back up and contest shots. That's what you want. And Dyson Daniels also blocked shots as a guard in the G League. So that's what you want to see. Herb changed the Pelicans defense with his ability to block jump shots. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the Pelicans, if they are as versatile defensively, you don't win in this league unless you are a top 5 defense. You cannot win a championship unless the Cleveland Cavaliers are the only team in the last decade that was outside the top 5 in defense when they won a championship.
And they were still top 10, wasn't
They were middle of the pack, but that was when LeBron was coasting, through the East.
Oh, okay.
It was like, I'm gonna turn it on when I get to the playoffs. When he was taking vacations to Miami and stuff. So, and when you just leave Kyrie at the helm, you ain't playing no defense.
And we love what Herb Jones did. We all believe that he's going to be making all defensive teams for as long as he's healthy, for the next semblance of years. But I think the trouble sometimes that can bring is that sometimes you don't want to be in a situation where you put too much on him to have to save your defense, right? You need other options to throw out there. The worst thing last year was one of the worst games that I watched. Just one of the hardest games to watch last year was that game against Dallas against Luka. Right now, Luka's great, right? But the Pelicans read it to a situation, right? They put Herb on Luka, and Luka's like amazing, man. I mean, offensively, he's a top 5, top three guy. It's just what he does. He knows how to manipulate. He knows how to get a whistle. He knows he has moves, counter moves, can shoot the 3, can do it all, can pass, can dribble. But they got into a point to where eventually either Herb got caught on screens or Herb got in foul trouble, and now you don't have a second guy that you can throw out there to even bother him. So who comes to the damn game? Garrett Temple, because you searching for anybody with size. Put Jose on him. He's too small. As great as Jose is, he's too small. So you grab Najee's not quick enough. He's not agile enough, and sometimes too aggressive. I like Dyson because it gives you a backup plan, and it gives you just other guys, other answers to where Herb can do more. Observe. He doesn't always have to be Superman. Sometimes he can put the cape away. And one of his best skills or one of his best attributes is it's his instincts. Some of the things he does off ball, the way he's able to, to intercept so many passes, like, damn, how did you know that was, you know what I mean? His reads when the ball is moving, defensively, and being able to know exactly where it's going to end. So yeah, but B Ross, man, what do you think? What excites you most about Dyson Daniels on the roster that you see today? Like, if he's playing minutes and he's what you think he will be, what excites you most about the current setup he's walking into?
You were breaking up. All I heard was the last part.
No, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Jalen Williams went to OKC. Okay.
Yeah, I'm about to say 12 wasn't part of the Knicks pick, apparently.
Damn, what did they trade? Okay, well, yeah. Whenever y'all find out what the Knicks did there, let me know. let us know. Well,
let the Knicks know.
Yeah, let the Knicks know. What excites you most about what Dyson is walking into day one?
He's walking into a situation where he doesn't have to go so hard so fast, right? He can walk into this situation, have patience. He can learn. He has vets that's ready to work with him. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if Fred Vincent didn't call him tomorrow, right? He'd be like, hey, let's get in the lab. Let's work on your shot, right? He doesn't have to come in and score immediately, right? He can step into this offense, find his role, right? He can sit back and watch. He doesn't have to immediately get thrown to the wolves like Jaden Ivey will, right? He's going to come in and be expected to score immediately, right? Or to do things crazy right off the bat. Dyson doesn't have to do that, right? He can take his time, find his place in this offense, and on his team, and go from there.
Second round, beyond, like, after you guys, if the Pelicans leave this draft with just Dyson Daniels, are you happy, Grub, or are there some names? Give me some guys if you have any that's on your mind that you would be interested in them adding in the second round.
I mean, the only problem is that they don't have any roster spots.
Right.
So if you are drafting, I think, first of all, like I said, my favorite player every year to watch is Cash Considerations. Because, I think the Pelicans likely will trade one of those picks either to move into another second rounder from another year and just say, we'll take yours from next year if you'll give us yours this year because we don't have a roster spot. Or you're looking for somebody that you can draft and stash over in Europe. And Trajan Langdon would be more plugged in on that. I don't monitor the European League as much as probably I should, but I think the Pelicans, you'd have to take somebody you stash because there's no two-way slot. You know what I mean? Like where do you find these guys right now to put in? You got, because I think you still have Jalen. What was his name? The guard Jalen Green was his name. What's his name?
Harper.
Jalen Harper. Jared Harper.
Jared Harper. Yeah, I'm sorry. Jalen Green plays for the Rockets. Jared Harper. But I mean, so I think and they still had Dalton Holmes, who they liked but got hurt. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's even a two-way spot that they're looking to fill. So I mean, I would bet that more than likely they either swap it for another year, and give it to somebody else, or they just sell it and they get some cash in return.
I mean, I agree. I think they're going to sell at least one of those.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was the Pels, I'd look at that 7-2 center and draft and stash him, just like you said. Somebody like that who can block shots, just send him overseas, let him refine his game, and just revisit it the next year or the year after.
I'm getting the feeling, or starting to get the feeling that, this is just a hunch, but coming into the draft, I felt like that the team, that guys like Devontae Graham and Jackson Hayes would, at worst make it to training camp. I don't know, man. I get the feeling one of those guys won't be in New Orleans to start the year. I can do, but I feel like one of them. I don't think both, but I think at least one will be on another roster.
I mean, we know what it is with Devontae, right? But as far as Jackson, do you think it's more because of his contract, or you think it's more because what he did last season, off season, when he got in all that trouble?
Oof, and what do you?
I don't even think, honestly, this sounds terrible. I don't even really think people really looking at that like talking about, like, again, he ain't going to jail. Like, that's a positive. He's not going to jail. Like, he got all the community service, so at least you don't have to sit there and worry about, him being missing games because of, some type of sentence or whatever. But I think it has more to do with his inability to play the 5, and you having to stash him as a 4, and it's like, well, okay, yeah, you can play the 4, but the stuff we need you to do, you don't do well, right? Like, and I think some people could probably convince themselves into Devontae Graham. Like, that's why I think that if anybody's going to be traded, it'll probably be Devontae. Like, somebody can probably convince themselves, like, hey, we get us a dude that's a shooter or whatever. Like, maybe we could do something with him or turn him around to somebody else. And he's already locked up for 3 more years, whereas with Jackson Hayes, it's like, well, we got a year to figure out what the hell he is. That's it. That's all we got.
James, that's disrespectful to the Sacramento Kings. That's disrespectful to say that somebody isn't out there itching to get Jackson Hayes in his contract year. It's disrespectful to the Kings as an organization.
He had 20 and 10 versus them. That's why.
Somebody is going. Yeah, but I'm with you. If I had to choose, it would.
Hope I'm wrong about that.
Go ahead, Chaz, man. The floor is 6 minutes.
They finally got their center.
Man, I'm kind of terrified of OKC situation, and the reason I came because I wanted to ask y'all, what do y'all think the Pels' goals are short term, like this year, going in next year? Because I think SGA going to LA is a very real possibility now, because they clearly don't give a fuck about the next 3 years. So them being like, okay, we'll take your 27 and 29 pick and 20 and 30 pick, and they don't give a fuck. And they'll get Westbrook back. He can retire there, what y'all think? I mean, I think that's a real possibility.
I think the Lakers ain't got enough to give them to take on Russell Westbrook for SGA right now. They got 2 picks, but no, you got to give us 4. Like, and you ain't got that. So
Lakers don't have assets.
Yeah, right. Like they that's not enough. So if I think the SGA is sooner out than we thought previously, I think he do get traded, but I don't think it's to the Lakers. And
if you were going to give up SGA, you ain't giving it. I mean, I'd rather be like, well, let me go get Bradley Beal or let me go get one of these people from the East. I'm not giving him for an old player with a team that doesn't have picks or a future. You know what I'm saying? Like, so with the Lakers, they're going to be propping that horse up as long as they can, and you're going to get picks that you're not even really going to enjoy. You know what I'm saying? Like, for some reason, they'll be winning 40 games and just dragging ass into the play-in, and you won't get your pick right. So Oklahoma City's looking for teams that are bombing, that they're going to get good ones from, or they're going to get a player they can use. What do you think? They're not going to buy in on the Taylor and Horton and Tucker nonsense and be like, yeah, that's an all-star in the making. I
just think they don't care.
No, I think they care. I think
they care. They don't.
Yeah.
I mean, they gotta sell tickets.
The players they've drafted, they haven't drafted poorly. It's just that they got too many kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just no team can function with a bunch of 19 and 20-year-olds. How you gonna win with nothing but children running around the NBA? It can't.
And I don't think they really in the taking on bad contracts anymore, because I think they may take one. They may do one, but I don't think they're in that situation where, like, hey, you give us your $80 million dude and you give us 3 picks with him. I don't think they're in that game no more, because they just traded multiple first-round picks to keep 12 to keep 12 so they can move up to 11, because they see a dude that they wanted in Dame. Like, I think they're now getting more into, like, okay, we know what this team is gonna look like. We got long, tall, lanky dudes. SGA may get traded, it ain't gonna be to no Lakers. And plus, right now, the Lakers are in a tailspin right now. Why am I going to help them to kind of give like SJ would help them? Like I'm not trying to help the Lakers right now.
I don't think it's about that. I just think that the Lakers don't have nothing to give them.
Well,
like if they really want something from the Lakers, there's not they don't need cap space. That's not what the Thunder need. They don't need no cap space,
and they don't necessarily need picks. But
if you're gonna take something back, if you bring back Russ come back with that I got something to prove shit.
Yeah,
and you start messing with people like Giddey, who is going to be the guy who should have the ball in his hands. You start messing with a dude like Jang, who you want if you're gonna have him and you're gonna let him play in that situation in Oklahoma City. Do you want to play with Russ? Where Russ is gonna be like, "That's my board, that's my,"
and plus Russ ain't like Russ about to retire. Like if Russ was about to retire, and then you be like, "All right, we're gonna send you home so you can have your last hoorah, whatever."
Yeah.
How many years he got left? 2 years, right?
No, this is
last year.
Yeah. But it's $40.5 million.
That's disgusting.
Shout out to John Wall.
So what do y'all think the Pels goals are this year?
I think it's finished top 6.
Yeah, make the playoff what I need to be in the play-in.
Top 6.
Yep.
Okay.
So we got about 2 minutes here, y'all, and I'm gonna close out and get ready for the spaces in about an hour or so on Twitter, and then the post show here with 5, Justin, Ross. I think Lito is somewhere in a cabana, so I don't think he'll be a part of it. I think maybe Steve. Shout out to Propels Talk. But closing out, I want all of you just out of, and this can just be a guess. Come up with it using your imagination. Dyson Daniels' best season will look like, and give me a points average, give me a rebounds average, and an assist average.
Who wants to go first?
Just give me what do you think? What do you think his best year will look like? And I'm not worried about him defensively. I just want to know what that year looks like. And if you want something different, if you want to add in something different, go ahead. But what does his best year look like?
If I'm assuming CJ has taken a reduced role at this point, I'll say Dyson Daniels is a 14-7-7 guy.
Okay,
I'm gonna be a little bit more realistic, right? I'm gonna say 8, 7, and 7.
His best year,
his best career season.
Oh, his career? Oh, I thought you meant first rookie.
No.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, Chaz is right.
My bad.
He's late, man. He's doing that.
I see him more on the Murray side, so I definitely 16, 8, and 8.
Ooh, okay,
that's where I'd be. That's where I'd be.
He's gonna be flirting with triple doubles, 100%.
Yeah, a guy that I think he has that kind of not Iguodala's superior athlete. I think Dyson Daniels is a very good athlete. A very good. I think go back and look at them combine numbers and look at that vertical. Look at that sprint. Look at the shuttle time. That he is an athlete. And go look at some of them putback dunks that he got over people's heads. He can bounce. He got bounce.
Yeah, we're going to see a low assist to turnover ratio, I guarantee.
Yeah, very good point.
Yeah, I think he makes, and I think again he's a guy who can get buckets moving without the basketball. He can slide into the right spot off of a double team on BI or Zion and get a bucket on a layup like a Herb, like Trey can do. So I think Dyson is going at his peak. Yeah, if he's with the Pelicans and there's still stars around him. And it's like, 18, 6 and 6 or 16, 7 and 7 in that range of a guy that is a threat every night.
Yeah, I would say about the same. Like it's because you would imagine that if Zion and BI are these guys that we think they will be, then they will be taking most of the shots and scoring most of the points. And so you just need a dude that's going to, do what we feel Dyson does well. What they say, he's a connector, right? Like he makes sure that BI get the ball where he needs to get it. He makes sure that Zion gets the ball where he needs to be at it. So, and then like you said, he's a tall guard, so he's going to get rebounds. Like he's going to do that just by accident, right? And so, I think if it ends up being 14, 7, and 8, I'm not upset with that at all. Like if that's the bottom, even if that's the bottom, I'm like that's cool with me. because I don't think you really need that much scoring if you got dudes that can average at least 25 a game. You just need dudes that do what they do well around them.
I wish Jackson Hayes could grab more rebounds by accident, James. If it's about
Jose is a better rebounder,
bro. I really
Jose boxes out harder than
I
Jackson.
guarantee you, Dyson grabs more rebounds than Jackson this
I was
year.
really about to say Jose saved us in the Clippers game because he got an offensive rebound against 2 6'7" dudes, bro.
Oh yeah.
And Jackson Hayes can't do that versus a 6'4" man.
Y'all saw Kemba going to Detroit.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's like, damn, boy, Kemba, how the mighty have fallen.
But I'm trying to figure out like
ever since he was a stupid fool and Jordan offered him, he took $20 million less to go to Boston for one, and then got cut. You should have took that Jordan money, bro. Jordan was telling you what you was worth.
I just spoke about this, Chris, New York, but I gotta say this: David West made one of the most foolish decisions I think I've ever seen a man make. This man gave up $12 million to go to the bum-ass Spurs, who didn't even make the finals that year, went to the Warriors like the next year or year after that, and got a ring on a minimum contract, and said, well, you can't take the money with you. You can't take the ring with you neither. You dead. So you would have died with $12 more million. Like,
I ain't gonna say nothing bad about D West.
No, I love D West. That's my guy. But shit, D West.
I say this. That's one of my biggest issues with the younger players, that they'll take like Malik Monk. Like not Malik Monk and Nunn, whatever his name is. I was like, bro, like you you are 25, 26, bro. If you don't get the bag,
yeah, at 25, I'm not giving that money up.
Like, bro,
if I got all the money I want and I can say at the end of my career I can give up a few mil, at 25, there is no money that I'm giving up for anybody. I do not love the game enough to give up my Kobe Bryant told the Lakers, I'm not leaving a nickel on the table. I want the max.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was at the end of his career. He said, no, I want every damn dollar.
That's a y'all problem. Fuck that. I need my money.
People cutting up about Bradley Beal.
You need to figure out how to build the team.
Yeah, that's on y'all.
You see, people cutting up about Bradley Beal and his contract situation, bro. I'm about to go home with $400 million when my career's over with. Y'all call me later and worry about some damn rings. I got 8 rings because I bought them.
Man. Shit, Robert Horry got 10 rings. Robert Horry probably catch the bus. Right? I'm
anyway, Chaz, we'll see you on the spaces. This.
All right, my dog. Catch y'all later.
All right, man. Appreciate y'all having me on, man.
B Ross, appreciate you pulling up. James, as always, I see you later. Chaz, see you later. Grub it if you pull up. We gonna let PPT Buku Media do their thing next and have a nice post game show, man. Hopefully Schmidt pull up live out there in BK. And yeah, man, shout out to all of y'all that ended up coming up and enjoying this with us. Lock in with us, follow everybody, and we'll see y'all next time, man. We out.